Preparing for a universal banker at US Bank interview. You've reached Candy Mentor, and this video is for you. We'll walk through 20 key questions you're likely to face. For each question, you'll see a sample answer followed by the key points to cover. Subscribe, like, and share, and drop a topic request in the comments. Question 1. Why do you want to work as a universal banker at US Bank? I'm interested in US Bank because the role combines trusted financial guidance with hands-on branch service. As a universal banker, I can help customers open accounts, solve everyday issues, and identify better ways to manage money. I like US Bank's focus on doing the right thing and building long-term relationships, not just completing transactions. My goal would be to create a consistent, accurate, and welcoming experience for every customer. While answering, focus on your interest in customer relationships, branch banking, ethical service, and the mix of transactions, product guidance, problem solving, and sales support expected in a universal banker role. Question 2. How would you describe the role of a universal banker? A universal banker is a hybrid branch role. I would handle everyday transactions like deposits, withdrawals, account maintenance, and cash balancing, while also having deeper conversations about customer needs. That could include helping someone choose a checking account, set up online banking, discuss savings goals, or refer them to a mortgage, investment, or business banking specialist. The key is balancing speed, accuracy, compliance, and relationship-based service. Make sure to cover both sides of the role: teller-style transaction processing and banker-style customer engagement. Mention accuracy, compliance, needs-based conversations, digital tools, referrals, and relationship building. Question 3. Tell me about a time you delivered excellent customer service. In a previous customer-facing role, a customer was frustrated because an issue had been passed between multiple people. I first let them explain everything without interrupting, then summarized the problem so they knew I understood. I researched the options, gave a clear timeline, and followed up before the deadline. The issue was resolved, and the customer thanked me for taking ownership. That experience taught me that service is often about clarity and follow-through. In your answer, use a specific situation, explain the customer need, describe your actions, and show the result. Emphasize listening, ownership, follow-through, professionalism, and customer satisfaction. Question 4. How would you handle an upset customer disputing a fee? I would start by staying calm and acknowledging the frustration, because fees can feel personal to customers. Then I would review the account activity, explain what caused the fee in plain language, and check whether any bank policy or exception process applies. If I can resolve it within my authority, I would do so. If not, I would involve a supervisor and explain next steps clearly, so the customer feels heard and respected. Be sure to mention empathy first, then fact-finding, policy review, available options, escalation when needed, and maintaining professionalism, even if the customer is angry or emotional. Question 5. How do you approach sales in a banking environment without being pushy? I see banking sales as needs-based guidance, not pushing products. I would ask questions about what the customer is trying to accomplish, such as saving for emergencies, avoiding fees, building credit, or managing cash flow. If a product genuinely helps, I explain the benefit and any key terms clearly. If it does not fit, I do not force it. That approach builds trust, which is more valuable than a one-time sale. While answering, focus on consultative selling, asking discovery questions, matching products to real needs, respecting customer preferences, and avoiding pressure-based or quota-only behavior. Question 6. What questions would you ask a customer opening a new checking account? I would ask how they plan to use the account: direct deposit, bill pay, debit card spending, ATM usage, and average balance. I would also ask whether they prefer mobile banking, need overdraft protection, want alerts, or are trying to avoid monthly fees. If they mention saving, credit building, or a loan need, I would explore that too. The goal is to recommend the right account setup from the beginning. Make sure to cover discovery around account usage, direct deposit, balance habits, digital banking, overdraft preferences, debit card needs, savings goals, student or senior needs, and fee avoidance. Question 7. How would you ensure accuracy when handling cash transactions? Cash accuracy comes from discipline and consistency. I would count cash carefully at receipt and disbursement, confirm amounts with the customer, use the system prompts, and avoid distractions during transactions. I would secure my drawer, follow dual control procedures when required, and balance regularly according to branch policy. If a difference occurs, I would report it immediately and help research it. Accuracy protects the customer, the bank, and my own credibility. In your answer, talk about counting procedures, verification, staying focused, following dual control rules, securing cash, balancing the drawer, documenting differences, and never rushing high-risk transactions. Question 8. What would you do if your cash drawer did not balance at the end of the day? First, I would not panic or try to force the drawer to balance. I would recount the cash, review my transaction journal, compare receipts or tickets, and look for common issues like transposed numbers or incorrect denominations. If I still cannot find it, I would notify my manager immediately and follow the branch's balancing procedures. Transparency is critical because even small differences need to be handled accurately and documented. Be sure to mention staying calm, recounting, reviewing transaction history, checking tickets and denominations, notifying management, following branch procedures, and never hiding or forcing a balancing entry. Question 9. How would you identify and respond to potential fraud at the branch? I would look for red flags like nervous behavior, mismatched identification, unusual transaction patterns, pressure from a third party, or a customer suddenly withdrawing a large amount. I would follow verification procedures, ask appropriate questions, and avoid accusing the customer. If something still seems suspicious, I would pause the transaction within policy and escalate to a supervisor or fraud team. The goal is to protect the customer while following bank procedures. While answering, focus on red flags such as unusual behavior, inconsistent identification, large urgent withdrawals, elder exploitation, check fraud, account takeover, and following escalation procedures. Question 10. What does confidentiality mean in a banking role? Confidentiality means protecting customer information at all times, whether I am speaking in person, on the phone, or working on a system. I would verify identity before discussing account details, avoid sharing information with unauthorized individuals, and be careful about conversations in the lobby. I would also secure documents and screens. Customers trust the bank with sensitive financial information, so privacy is not optional. It is central to the role. Make sure to cover customer privacy, secure handling of account information, limiting conversations to authorized parties, verifying identity, avoiding public disclosure, and following bank and regulatory requirements. Question 11. How familiar are you with banking compliance requirements like BSA and AML? I understand that BSA and AML rules help prevent money laundering, fraud, and other financial crimes. In a branch role, I would follow customer identification procedures, monitor for unusual activity, and escalate red flags rather than making assumptions. For example, large cash transactions, structured deposits, or inconsistent explanations may require review. I would rely on U.S. banks' policies, training, and reporting process because compliance protects both the customer and the institution. In your answer, mention that branch employees are the first line of defense. Cover customer identification, suspicious activity awareness, currency transaction reporting, escalation, documentation, and following procedures. Question 12. How would you explain online and mobile banking to a customer who is not comfortable with technology? I would keep it simple and focus on what matters to the customer. For example, I might explain that mobile banking lets them check balances, set alerts, deposit checks, and pay bills without visiting the branch. I would walk them through one step at a time, avoid technical language, and emphasize security features like passwords and alerts. Before they leave, I would ask them to try the key steps themselves. Be sure to mention patience, simple language, step-by-step demonstration, security reassurance, practical benefits, account alerts, digital deposits, bill pay, and confirming the customer can use the tool independently. Question 13. Give an example of how you would uncover a customer's financial need during a routine transaction. If a customer regularly keeps a high checking balance, I might ask whether those funds are reserved for bills or longer-term savings. If they say they are saving for a home or emergency fund, I could discuss savings options, money market features, or automatic transfers. If they mention a mortgage goal, I would refer them to the right specialist. Small observations during routine transactions can create meaningful financial conversations. While answering, focus on active listening, observing cues, asking open-ended questions, connecting the need to a suitable solution, and making referrals when the need is outside your authority. Question 14. How do you prioritize when the branch lobby is busy, phones are ringing, and appointments are waiting? I would first acknowledge customers quickly so no one feels ignored. Then I would prioritize based on urgency, appointment commitments, transaction complexity, and available team support. Simple transactions can often move quickly, while account openings or sensitive issues may need more time. I would communicate realistic wait times and ask teammates or a manager for help when needed. Even when busy, I would not rush identity verification, cash handling, or compliance steps. Make sure to cover triage, acknowledging every customer, communicating wait times, using teamwork, protecting accuracy, managing appointments, and not sacrificing compliance for speed. Question 15. Tell me about a time you had to meet a goal or target. In a prior role, I had a monthly service and productivity target. I broke it into weekly goals, tracked my progress, and adjusted my approach when I fell behind. Instead of rushing, I focused on quality conversations and solving the customer's actual problem. That improved both my numbers and customer feedback. In banking, I would use the same approach: understand the goal, manage daily activity, and keep customer trust first. In your answer, use a structured example with the goal, actions, tracking method, obstacles, and result. Connect your approach to branch goals like referrals, service scores, or accuracy. Question 16. How would you handle a customer who wants to withdraw a large amount of cash and seems nervous? I would treat the customer respectfully and move the conversation to a more private setting if appropriate. I would verify identity and ask calm, normal questions about the purpose of the withdrawal, especially if the behavior seems unusual. If I suspect a scam, coercion, or elder exploitation, I would involve a manager and follow bank procedures. The goal is not to block legitimate access, but to protect the customer from potential harm. Be sure to mention customer protection, calm questioning, privacy, possible scam or elder abuse concerns, verification, involving a manager, and following procedures without embarrassing the customer. Question 17. How do you build trust with customers who come into the branch regularly? Trust is built through repeated small interactions. I would greet regular customers by name when appropriate, remember service preferences, and make sure their transactions are accurate every time. I would also look for ways to be helpful, such as suggesting alerts, explaining fee options, or reminding them about digital tools. At the same time, I would stay professional and protect privacy. Consistency and reliability make customers comfortable returning to the branch. While answering, focus on consistency, remembering preferences, accurate service, proactive help, clear communication, ethical recommendations, and making customers feel recognized without becoming too informal. Question 18. What would you do if a customer asks you to waive a requirement or bypass a policy? I would explain that I cannot bypass bank policy, especially when it involves identification, account access, funds availability, or compliance requirements. I would stay respectful and explain the reason in customer-friendly language. If there is an approved exception process, I would involve a supervisor. If not, I would offer alternatives within policy. Customers may not always like the answer, but they usually respect clear communication and consistent standards. Make sure to cover professionalism, policy adherence, explaining the reason, offering alternatives, escalating legitimate exceptions, and never compromising compliance or internal controls to satisfy a customer. Question 19. How would you respond if you noticed a coworker making a compliance or cash handling mistake? If it looked like an honest mistake, I would address it promptly and professionally, ideally in a way that does not embarrass the coworker. For example, I might say, let's double-check that step before completing the transaction. If the issue is serious, repeated, or creates risk, I would notify a manager according to policy. Cash handling and compliance are team responsibilities, so speaking up protects everyone involved. In your answer, mention protecting the customer and bank, addressing the issue promptly, avoiding blame, involving a supervisor when needed, and following reporting procedures for serious concerns. Question 20. Why should we hire you for this universal banker position? You should hire me because I bring the mix this role requires: customer focus, attention to detail, and comfort having needs-based conversations. I can handle routine transactions accurately while also looking for ways to help customers improve their financial lives. I learn systems quickly, stay calm under pressure, and take compliance seriously. Most importantly, I understand that every branch interaction affects the customer's trust in U.S. Bank. Be sure to connect your strengths to the role: customer service, accuracy, communication, learning agility, ethical judgment, comfort with sales conversations, teamwork, and ability to represent U.S. Bank professionally. If you are still with us, congratulations. You are much ahead of the rest and serious about preparing for your interview. We hope we were able to add value to your preparation and create some helpful content. Do not forget to like and share this video. Your small act can do great things for us.